Stenowalebabu welcomes you. Shorthand dictations in male and female voice from all sources like magazines, speeches, and editorials at various speeds up to 120 WPM for various departments like SSC, DSSSB, CRPF, Delhi Police, etc. Please like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.
Exercise number 16. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Sir, I rise to support the budget proposals. The budget is framed in such a manner that I think it is the duty of everybody in this house to support it. One thing on which I feel inclined to congratulate the Finance Minister is that all proposals in this budget have got a specific purpose, an economic purpose, with a view to the development of this country and acceleration of economic growth in this country. The Finance Minister has not submitted, if I may say so, any temptation to inflict penalties and burdens without an eye on the measure in which the proposals may benefit either the exchequer on the one hand and the measure in which it may or may not impede the economic growth on the other hand. There are 5 purposes which I could understand from the proposals of the budget. One is rationalization of tax structure on the basis of principles spelled out by the Vanchu Commission, namely that if the rates of taxation are such as will leave a margin for the taxpayer to serve as an incentive for hard work and for the revolution of his income, then a larger revenue on an overall basis can be collected. In this house, on many an occasion, we discussed this proposal on Vanchu Commission, and the mood of the House and the mood of the government at that time was to reject those proposals on the ground that on previous occasions when it was tried, it was found that the taxpayer did not become honest merely by the reason of the reduction in the tax amount. I, for one, am happy that the government have now found their way to appreciate the rationale behind the proposals made by the Vanchu Commission. The rates now proposed more or less on the levels suggested by the Vanchu Commission. If they come down by about 10% more, the rates would be the same as proposed by the Commission. The Minister has said that this reduction has been made as an experiment measure in order to see how the taxpayer reacts, and if the taxpayer reacts honestly and if the overall revenue position is not affected by the reduction in its rates, this line may perhaps be pursued. It should be pursued, I mean, if things happen as expected. One important thing which I could note is that on the one hand, the government have put forward the proposal for the compulsory deposit scheme to continue, not only for it to continue but for the rates to be raised, that is, along with the lower rate of interest, the rates will be raised in order to ensure that resources are available with the government for the purpose of ploughing into the developmental activities. This is a proposition which, if I could understand it, was put forward by the Vanchu Commission. I congratulate the government for taking care that the rates of interest are reduced on the one hand and the revenue, not exactly revenue but resources in the hands of the government, is not affected on the other. They have adopted this measure. This is a very sensible approach to the whole thing. Secondly, there is a very noble proposal for which I should congratulate the government. I mean, the investment incentives that the government have given. This was also proposed by the Vanchu Commission. The following are there in terms of incentives. One is the proposal for investment allowance, which of course is another version of what was in existence as the initial depreciation allowance earlier. With certain modifications, the principle accepted is that if a person puts in his money for investment, there will be an allowance for it. There was a rehabilitation allowance, but there was no guarantee that the money which was reserved in the name of rehabilitation was ploughed back for real rehabilitation. The money was reserved and it became the property of the persons concerned. There was no monitoring agency to ensure that the concession given by the government was made use for of conserving and saving money, and that it was used for the purpose of rehabilitation. They have now taken care to see that this investment allowance becomes available only if it is utilized for the purchase of new machines and plants. The specific purpose of ensuring the utilization of the fund is now taken care of. Another proposal is that the money should be deposited in the Industrial Development Bank of India, and that to that extent of the deposits so made there would be a deduction in the surcharge. That is also a thing done purposefully, that is, with an eye on the investment of the surplus money. There are two methods. One method, which we have been pursuing so far, was to tax as much as we could and to get as much money as we could, and therefore to create a damper on the productive activities. Thank you.